you could for resetting the SMC, eliminating the kernel task clogging the CPU, and you didn't succeed. You maybe noticed that one sensor of your motherboard is faulty, although no overheating is actually sensed. You may be wanting to return use your MacBook, at least normally. So today I'm going to skip all the built-in protection things that are throttling, thermal throttling. Alright, we're going to tamper the operating system from a hardware, from a software, and then from a hardware point of view. So what we are going to do, first of all, make sure there is not maybe something around overheating. In most of cases it's related to dirty um, air ducts, so you just have to clean out your MacBook. But in rare cases, there must be something around logic board. So in this unfortunate case, we can still recover the MacBook. First of all, turn it off and boot it in recovery mode as it's shown here, pressing Alt, Command, and R on the keyboard. Sorry for bad resolution. Then what you see after the loading is this screen. You gotta go onto utilities and to terminal, and then you type into terminal this following strings. This one, of course, I will leave all the things in the description of this video. And when you did this, reboot your computer, boot again into recovery mode like I showed you first, and then type in the same thing as I show you here. Then reboot it and boot it into the regular operating system. Well, now we can proceed with the next steps. Open the terminal on the regular system. Make a sudo su for getting the root permissions, like I show you. Then go to mount your operating system here. So you just have to copy this thing. Make sure to copy, or better, not to copy when the next thing is done now. Just copy here. To just make sure you are editing the hard drive label with yours. It's very important because every MacBook has, usually HD is named, I don't know. You can find this thing on system volumes. You can find the label your MacBook has, your hard drive has, right? Okay, then you have complete access to the folder that contains all the kernel extension that control, in this case, the kernel task overwhelming the CPU. Well, at this point, we can go forth through the Finder. Go to Finder, go to Folder, and type in this thing. Of course, remember the matter of the label of your hard drive. Then go here, and then make list. It's more comfortable to see. And then you should find amongst this kernel extension this one here. Remove it, drag and drop, and in some cases it doesn't even work. Simply just drag and drop. In that cases, you just have to type this thing. Um, So if you can't simply remove it through drag it and drop, type this as I show you. rm is going to forcibly remove this kernel extension from this list here. Make sure first to have saved it somewhere like in your desktop, or if you want to reverse this operation you will be able to. When? Well, when you're done with this, you have to load a virtual snapshot of the hard drive, because uh, the list is not updated. It's not so easy to explain. So just do this thing. Um, Copy this, paste it onto your terminal, execute, and copy also this thing. Of course, edit this label here, and then once you're done, you must be okay with it. Reboot your computer and you should no longer have the kernel task overwhelming the CPU. But there might be the problem that the frequency of the CPU might be still underclocked. So we're getting through it also. I'm going to show you how. Um, well, we need to take apart our computer. Well, I'm going to show you through this open board view file. Here there is the MacBook Pro's motherboard. This is my model, and this is the SMC. This is typically um, the unit that controls the fans, the peripherals, like for example backlight and screen brightness and so on. It also controls the frequency of the processor and the GPU, um, telling if there is some sensor fault, like in my case. Oh, you can slow down a little bit the processor so you don't overheat it. Well, we have, in the case that the overheating is not present, so it's not actually that problem, remove this IC. It's near the SMC itself. This IC is responsible of the processor hot event and thermal trip event. Okay, those two things mean two different things. Processor hot is the event that occurs when a sensor senses too hot temperature on the any kind of sensor around the MacBook. Thermal trip, if I don't recall badly, um, shuts down the computer when the CPU reaches more than 120, 130 Celsius degrees. So pay very attention to the fact that when you're removing this thing, you're removing a significantly important protection to your computer. Well, just remove it, unsolder it, break it somehow, um, and then you will be able to fully use your CPU. I'm going to show you that my last benchmark showed a very, oh sorry, this is not my benchmark. This is my benchmark. It's even higher. So this is a comparison. You see, this is my, and then here we have a comparison. Probably doing this, I also forced the turbo boost always on, and this is quite good. And although it's going to consume the battery much faster, I very like the deliveries of my MacBooks now. Okay, guys, I remember this. I just want you to recall this is very dangerous to do. So when you had done this, you maybe want to control also your fans. It's very important if your SMC cannot dialogue. with them. So I installed Max Fan Control. What you have to do is very important, is to set every single fan. We have two fans in this case because it's 15 inches model, onto CPU PC. So the die of the sensor, sorry, of the CPU, this might be set around 70 degrees when the fan starts running a little bit faster, and 90 when it starts running the maximum. Uh, right side, the GPU, it's important also to refresh a little bit the CPU. I just use many graphics programs, so it's very important for me. If you are a very internet user, you use a lot Netflix, you may be wanting to set the right fan to the output card sensor. You may be wanting to tie this to that sensor, because the right side is nearby the airport card. So fantastic. So we have our MacBook Pro still working, even seriously injured. Thank you for watching this video. To the next one.